Okay, this is a channel I'm doing for someone else. I've never done this before. Someone has submitted me questions, and this someone is my brother, my older brother. Okay, so he's quite a few questions. Normally I just have one question, but I've got like I've got a page and a half of questions here. So I'm not quite sure how I'll do it. I think I'll have to answer one question and then return to the paper to read what the next one is. Okay, so question number one is, I've kind of paraphrased these questions because I spoke to him about the questions. I've paraphrased them just when I was writing them out here. Okay, so question number one. I could do a lot more work than I do and therefore make a lot more money, but I don't. Why not? Okay, that's really part A of a two-part question, so we'll just start with that there. So I can do a lot more work and therefore make a lot more money, but I don't. Why not? Okay, alright, let's see what we got. Greetings and thank you for the question. And we say also thank you for the challenge to your ability to channel. So we will give you clarity, and it will be up to you to remain open enough and allowing enough and spontaneous enough that you don't adulterate the flow with your own identification as the brother of the questioner. So beginning with this question. He asks, he could do a lot more work in his business than he does and therefore make a lot more money, but he doesn't. And why is that? We would say that he is asking, why is he not inspired to do more? And we would say he is inspired to live more. So there is no lack of inspiration. But the inspiration is for balance. He is inspired to live a balanced life. And he recognizes that the life he lives at the moment is a balanced life. And if he was to shift gears such that he was working more studiously and consequently making more money, his life would be less balanced, and his inspiration to live a balanced life would be less fulfilled. He understands, partially aware, partially unaware, that there is a type of peace that comes with living a balanced life. There is a type of inner connectedness which gives him a sense of contentment, a sense of fulfillment, a sense of being the captain of the ship, of his own ship, on still waters. And that is a deeper set point, is a deeper origin of inspiration than inspiration that would be to work harder to make more money. However, in the world where you find yourselves, and in the corporate world where he often is, the ethos is to work harder and make more. And so while he continues to be part of that world in a way where he identifies with that world, there will be this confusion. We would say trust. Trust yourself, Andrew. Believe that your intuition is wise, because it is. It does not mean that you will never be inspired to work harder and make more. Perhaps you will. But at this time, we would say your inspiration is to live a balanced life. And the lifestyle that you currently have is a balanced life. And so your inspiration is being fulfilled. So for now, at this phase of your life, this part of the cycle, be at ease with your lifestyle, because you are living your inspiration. However, your mentality is unable to recognize this inspiration, because your mentality is still towards this concept that if it is inspiration, then it means busier, that it means more work, that it means more sacrifice of your peace, of your tranquility, of your freedom to use your time as you wish. However, inspiration does not always look that way. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. At this stage in your life, what do you feel the answer is? We have reflected to you what we observe. Now it is up to you to make your own internal recognition of where your inspiration lay, and then have peace with that, in whichever way peace is attained for your unique state. But from our perspective, from our observation, we would say you are in a peaceful state already, and the only perturbance to your peaceful state is the slight mental turbulence that you are being lazy, irresponsible, perhaps, that you are not fulfilling something that you should be fulfilling, that you have a duty to your success. And if you are not dutifully serving this notion of success, then you are being frivolous and wasteful with your time and your life. We would say, relax on that, or act on that. But do not stay in limbo where you are doing neither. Choose one and do it. From our perspective, you are balanced, except for this little bit of mentality that you hang on to habitually, because it has been your pattern. It has been the voice, it has been the footsteps coming up the hall towards your door. You can hear approaching and you know you must do something such that when those footsteps arrive at your door, you are already accomplished. You're already there. But the footsteps never arrive. They're just always marching, 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 marching. You are always driven because there's always that impending arrival of something to check on your level of success, to see if you have done what you should have done, to see if you are fulfilling an arbitrary potential which must be fulfilled. And so onward and onward and onward you are driven by the marching feet that never arrive. However, it is an echo, an internal clock which can be put to rest. It can be silenced by letting it go and understanding that balance, peace, a sense of abundant liberty is awakened living. It is heightened presence. And so your accomplishment is profound already. It does not need more to be profound. It does not need more to be worthy. Because worthiness isn't just accomplishment. Worthiness isn't just the accrual of wealth and materiality. to live wisely, to live intuitively, to live balanced, to live in a sense of freedom which is coloured with the exercising of your passion. This is an accomplished life. This is a life that you can be proud of and be at peace with. So we have no more to add on this, and we shall move to the next question. Okay, alrighty, next question. Oops. Next question is, I feel I have enough knowledge that I can advance my effectiveness by using an internal source of guidance rather than outer. Is that right? Okay. We would say that yes, you have been at this place for some time. And clearly by your question, this is something that you have an awareness of. But again, the model is that there is always more to be learnt. There is always more to understand by receiving the information from an external source. This is the model of the world that you have lived in for a long time. However, you have now reached a point where you are able to tap a wisdom that is very nuanced to the individuals and groups that you work with. And so if you were to use external knowledge in substitute for your own intuitive knowing, then much of the nuance would be lost. And the congruency between what you offer and what they would be most healed by would be diminished. And your effectiveness as a healer would be less potent. So to ask this question demonstrates to us that this is a knowing that you already have. However, because of the model that you have followed for many years, where you continue to learn and learn and learn from external sources, there is a little bit of a mismatch, because your intuitive sense and your mentality are not aligning. And we would say trust intuition and recognize your mentality is a pattern which has existed throughout your life. It is not bringing something new. It is not profound in a sense, but really just the repetition of a pattern. However, you have gone beyond the need for any patterns. And in fact, using these patterns will be a detriment to your ability. They will be a blunting of your capacity to heal through your intuitive knowing, through your ability to empathically connect and with great love convey to those that you heal their own wise guidance from a source which they are not aware of, yet you can sense through your loving ability to care for another so deeply that this connection is made. So go inward, not outward. And by going inward, we can see that this is also where you are going to find your inspiration. And we smile because it takes us back to the first question, but this is where you will find the inspiration for your next project, which could be the compilation of your own healing wisdom into a guide for others to use as their source of external knowledge. Trust your own beauty. Trust your own wisdom. Trust your own intuition. This is all we have to say on this question. Shall we look at the next? Okay. Rightio. Next one. What have we got? Is karma with my mother complete? Why did I choose to be born to my family? Oh, so 3 questions here. What was the purpose of childhood with her and her husband? Okay. Alright. I'll let them decide how they're going to answer that, because there is like 3 questions here. So we'll just say like mum in general. Oh yeah. Okay. Okay, right. I'm hearing them say they're going to connect to your higher self to ask why, and I'm kind of resisting it because it's just getting too nuts. I don't want to sound like a just fakey. Here we go. Oh yeah. To answer this question, we will connect directly to Andrew's higher self. So rather than us trying to discern a reason, we will just ask at a level of his awareness where the answer is clear. So stand by while we make a connection and then ask the question. out of this. Rightio. Okay. So they said they were going to connect me to your higher self, and then your higher self, it sounded like to me, was coming through and was about to speak in the first person. So you're about to watch a video of someone channeling you. This is weird. This is weird. Shall I do it? Oh god. Okay. Okay. Alright. Okay, look, what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to channel your higher self, where I'm saying I and it's your higher self. I'm not at ease with that. So I'm going to ask that my people I'm speaking to, they just give me the information which comes from you. Okay? Alright. We are communicating with the energy which is currently having this lifetime as your brother, Andrew Hughes, at a level of self-knowing where he has awareness of why he chose to be born into this family. With your mother as his maternal parent, and then the life that followed. He says that he wanted the experience of independence from the maternal. So he chose to be born to a woman that had a strong need for male presence in her life, and yet had the dysfunctionality that there would always be turbulence in her life in regard to the men that she chose to partner with. And so with this combination, he himself would become the surrogate man, because he was with a woman as a son that had a strong need to have male presence in her life, and yet was not functional enough to maintain a relationship with a man such that she can have that need fulfilled through a partner. And therefore, he himself would become the surrogate man in her life. And it was from that scenario that he wanted to break free. He wanted to have the opportunity to emancipate himself from this strong maternal bond. Because it was a central theme for his independence and for his awakening to his completeness, to his capacity to be entirely a self-contained expression of humanity, a individuation of the one that can express purely as the unadulterated self. Because in previous lifetimes he had such strong relationships with others in his life that he never fully became an independent energy, such that he was a complete aura unto himself, a complete sphere of radiant light that did not require supplementation from somebody else occupying the earth plane at the same time. In previous incarnations, that was often a female energy. And so, in this lifetime, he chose to be born into a situation where he would be confronted with the challenge to emancipate himself from the neediness of the strong feminine and be self-aware enough and self-caring, self-nourishing enough that he gave himself permission without guilt or a sense that he is a betrayer to be untethered and to become a full expression of his awe as a being in the human experience. And so recent events have been a profound shift, because for the first time, if we look at his lifetimes from a sequential perspective, where we say time exists and one life occurring after the other, this is the first lifetime that he has become fully emancipated. And so right now we would say is the beginning of a new blossoming of wisdom, intuition, and understanding of the non-physical in the physical experience, because there is no more impedance. There are those that rely on him, but the way that the energies intermingle is not the same as it was with the maternal, with the mother, because the mother was able to penetrate very deeply into his energy sphere. If we speak about this in a visual sense, she was penetrating very deeply and drawing from him at a very deep level, such that where her presence is in his makeup, he's not able to be complete. There is an incompletion. There is a part of him at this deep level that was never fully realized, because in a way the mother had a root, a deep growing root to his core, from which she was nourishing herself with the masculine energy that she was unable to receive from a partner. This was unhealthy for the mother, this was unhealthy for the son, and now that it has been redefined, it is a new era for both. So now is the time to trust intuition. Now is the time to believe your own wisdom, because for the first time you are complete in a way that you have not been before. And so with this completion, you are now increased by more than the deficit was, if you can follow that logic. Now that the system is complete, your potential has been greatly increased by many factors more than the actual deficit was. So that is all we have to say on this question. So shall we move to the next? Alright. How's it going so far? We're at 33 minutes. Okay, right, over here. Number 3. Why my brother and I born to the same house? Do we have something to do together? Why my brother and I born to the same house? Do we have something to do together? Okay. It's going to be a hard one to keep myself out of. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause and I'm going to go and pee. Okay, just 90 seconds have passed. I just ran downstairs and used the toilet. So coming back to this question, why my brother and I born to the same house? Do we have something to do together? You chose to be born into the same house as your brother because the two of you have had much experience together in the past. and you wanted the opportunity to be the protector of your younger brother. Because of the relationships that you have had in the past, there is a cycle, in a sense, that you have followed with him, where you have alternated the status of your relationship such that one of you is often the older and carer to some degree of the other. You have had many human years together across all of your lifetimes, and this is why you have such a deep sense of familiarity with each other. The familiarity you have is not the familiarity that has been formed just in this lifetime, but is the result of have had many lifetimes together in the different forms of relationships. You have been soldiers together, not related by your own blood, but in a way related by the blood of others that was splashed across your armour. You have been holy men together, monks, of European type. And you have been father-son, we would say mostly in the lifetimes that you have shared together, you have been a primary source of each other's masculinity. You have been the strong masculine force in each other's life many times, in different ways. And so you choose to be born in similar conditions less because you have a mission, but more because of the love and reliability that you share. you know that you can count on each other. And also, your depth of knowing each other is so developed that you have confidence that you will find each other and recognize in each other that there is a special bond. With each subsequent lifetime that you spend together, both of you are living more wisely and more awakened. This is not the first lifetime that you have shared together where the later part of your life became about self-discovery, became about understanding more than just the physical field. And so it is with mutual recognition you both understand that the culmination of this sequential life pattern of pursuing greater awareness of the non-physical will eventually be sharing the experience of sharing the experience of giving to the world the discoveries which have been made within together. It is with agreement that you both recognize this is an inevitable natural outcome of the evolutionary path that both of you have chosen to follow for the last few lifetimes. However, it has not been decided that it shall be this lifetime or the next lifetime, only that when the time is right and the readiness of each other matches the readiness of the human condition, then that will be the time. So from our perspective, looking at both of you, and looking at what is happening on your planet right now, then we would say those conditions are met. And from the higher self-awareness of both of you, there is also that recognition. However, it is not a mandate, it is still a choice for both of you to make. And to make that choice or not is no detriment, is no error. It is just expressing self freely and understanding that choice is available always, in all ways that one can exist. So it is up to the both of you, from the perspective of Andrew, from the perspective of Murray, to choose that if you both wish. The timing is ripe, we would say. So if you were going to choose that at some stage in the lifetimes that you were sharing together, then this would be a well synchronized time for that to occur. So while we would say you don't have a grand mission together, which must occur this lifetime, or it has been a fail, we would say instead that there has been a build-up to a place where both of you and the circumstances of humanity will coincide enough that you shall, if you choose it, broadcast light together into the human field. To contribute in the way that you both have known is inevitable. We make a point of saying it this way because we want you to understand it is not fate that you must do this. It is not an expectation which has been written into some type of heavenly scroll that if you do not fulfill it, then it has been a betrayal or a failure. What we want to say instead is that just as the flowers grow and they know when it is time to bloom, they bloom. And yet the time they bloom may not be the same time they bloomed in the season before. Instead, they bloom when they intuitively know now is the time. And then so they do. So it is not fate. It is trust in their own intuition that when the time is right, they will know the time is right. And so it is the same for the two of you. So discuss with each other, investigate the self, and then bring that to a discussion with each other and decide, is the time right? What is your intuitive sense? If you wait for a trigger, or you wait for a sign, or you wait for an event, then you are placing the responsibility of intuitive knowing outside of the self. Such that it becomes subject to manifestation, which may not necessarily have been brought into physicality from a energetic purity, which is pure wisdom. Can you follow that concept? Because both of you are still human beings and not fully awakened as the higher self, there is still mentality, there's still neuroses. And so from that mentality, from that neuroses, there is the manifestation of the lives that you live. So the reality reflected back to you has been imbued with that mentality, with that neuroses. And so if you rely on an outer reflection as the signpost for when to be working together in some way, then it may create delay, create confusion, create disagreement. So instead we would say, rather than waiting for that, come together and discuss with each other and look for the sign in each other, look for the sign in yourself to know when it is time to do something together. So that is all we have to say about that. So let's look at the final question. Financial advice. Okay. Should we invest super, our little bit of super, in gold and silver? Should we have done this 2 years ago when we first spoke about it? Okay. The financial system on your planet is approaching a reset to a system which will be more equitable, less open to fraud, and more at its heart the idea of every human is worthy of abundance. And so any system which has existed in the past and now, which is not resonant with this philosophical standard, will perish. It will no longer be able to maintain a place in the new vibration. because it will be so antithetical to the new place of wisdom in the human field that it shall collapse. So, if you have assets that are in a system which is still on the foundation of manipulation, dishonesty, wealth for a few by duping the many, then this system is heading towards a cliff, and it is in your best interest to get off that before the cliff edge is met. If you are considering where to transfer your wealth to, then look at systems which are resonant with the paradigm of equitable wealth, fairness, treating each human with dignity, honesty, integrity, such that wealth is not stolen, wealth is not leached away, so that those who control the system become wealthier and those that are forced to use the system become poorer. If you know of financial systems which are harmonic with this philosophy, then it is a good place to put your wealth. So we will not say specifically what that should be, but instead we just share with you that principle, and then it is up to you to discover how that translates into the options that you have in front of you. And in regard to the last part of that question is, should you have made the changes 2 years ago when you spoke about it? We would say that is irrelevant. Because life is perfect, every moment is a blessing, then it matters not what choices you made 2 years ago, but instead only matters the choices that you make in this moment now. So that is not the current now from your perspective. So give it no more thought. Do not lament it. It is what it is, and your opportunity for fulfillment, happiness, joy, abundance are still as profoundly available to you now as perhaps they were when the choice could have been made. Ultimately, if your heart is filled with joy and love and excitement, then you are as wealthy as any being could be in your experience. When you have not been extremely wealthy, this is a difficult concept to understand, we realize. However, there are many that have become very wealthy and yet do not have love and joy and happiness in their heart, and they fully understand this concept. They fully realize that without those, the wealth is not wealth, but instead the representation of a false belief that they held. And now that they have accrued the wealth, they have become awoken to the reality that that is not where their happiness is found. That is in the human experience. And so it is not essential for you to experience it, because it is already in the field. So trust that love, joy, excitement, that is your true wealth. And if you have that, then you have access to the true treasures which are available by birthright to each human. And from our perspective, you are already wealthy. So thank you. We hope that you enjoyed hearing the answers to these questions. We thank also Murray, the channel, for allowing this information, which was closely related to him because the questioner was his brother, and there was some delay, there was some difficulty with the flow, but we would say it has mostly been successful, and Murray was able to allow the information to flow in a way which was relatively unadulterated, although it did become stagnated from time to time as he tried the best he could to stay out of the equation. It was with some amusement that we observed that, and we are pleased the way it went, and we thank Andrew for the questions, and may we do it again sometime. Thank you. Oh, that was long, brother. I'll send it to you.